Hey everyone, it's Ted Branshaw here, Farm Bill Biologist with the Southeastern Grasslands Initiative and Quail Forever, here with another Invasive of the Week video for everyone. And this week we're going to be taking a look at the Callery Pear, commonly known as by its cultivar Bradford pear, the scientific name being Pyrus calleryana of Rosaceae family. So let's take a look at it. So where I am, there is a ton of these Callery pears, and they all have a pretty distinctive growth form and shape. It's part of the reason why they're, at least historically, quite liked as ornamentals. But there's quite a few Callery pears through here, and they all have this pretty upright, vertical, like branching upwards for the most part, plan. But and they're not in flower right now, but they're quite obvious to spot one in flower. And I've said this in previous videos, if you can ID some of these stuff when they're not in flower, then you can identify them whenever. So this is a Callery pear right here. So the leaf arrangement is alternate. So there is, when there's a leaf, there isn't another leaf directly opposite it. They alternate down the stem. The leaves are somewhat thick, and as they get older, a little leathery, pinnately veined, and they have very long pedicels, which is the stem of the leaf. These can be 1 to 2 inches, and because of that, the leaves like to flutter in the wind. When they do so, you can see the lighter undersides flash opposite the darker tops, and that, with its growth, even when it's not in flower, helps you pick them out from a distance. Generally oval shaped and taper down into a slightly pointed tip. And the edges are just slightly, if I can get it to focus, are just slightly serrated, you could say. And especially on some of the larger leaves, it ends up looking kind of wavy. So as that leaf here looks wavy, that's pretty typical for these. So for as far as fruit goes, you're not always going to have fruit on these guys. This one does up here. I'm just going to grab a couple. So normally, or ideally, you won't see them with fruits on, because the cultivars, Bradford pear for example, are not self-compatible. But when Bradford pear is planted alongside other cultivars, they are fertile, and then these are what the fruits end up being. They are just essentially really small pears, so it is technically a pome. They don't get bigger than this. This is about the normal size. They are bitter. They're not good to eat. I've read that they contain cyanide as well, so definitely not good for you. After a good frost and after they've had time to ripen, which they'll get like a darker brownish color than this, but they'll maintain those speckles. Birds like to get to them, and they'll further spread them. So if it has fruit, that's what the fruit looks like. So fruit, leaves, I'll add a picture of flowers later so you know what it looks like. For the bark on younger stems, let's see. This bark is a little smoother. It's not ideally focused, but there we go, it's a little bit better. But it's relatively smooth, whereas when you look at the older bark or older stems, it starts to crack and form these scales. Another thing about these is in the cultivar like base form, typically you won't see them with thorns, but as they naturalize and cross and whatnot, again, if I can get it to focus, it's not focusing great, but there is a thorn right here, and that also helps identify these. especially the more naturalized ones. For treatment, these things can be quite difficult to deal with. So other than just doing the basic, cut the tree down and remove the stump, you have a few options. On smaller ones, you can do a basil bark spray, in which you would apply the appropriate herbicide to the bottom foot or so, bottom couple feet of the main stem all the way around. You can hack and squirt, in which you would chop into it and then apply herbicide. Or you can cut to the stump, and even if you don't grind it or dig it up or what have you, you can then put herbicide onto the stump, and that'll keep it dead. Otherwise, they will sucker. And some examples of herbicides that you can use include glyphosate and triclopyr. But with any herbicide applications, just make sure to read the label, and you want to do it when the plant is active, such as now, as opposed to in winter when it has all its leaves and that's not transporting any nutrients around. But there you have it, your invasive of the week, Callery Pear.